Okay, I have started the recording. Okay, so okay, so we are covering polymorphism, right? Poly means many, forms means morph means form. All right, so the combination of polymorphism means many forms. Cool. So it's the ability to pair more forms is called polymorphism. Like the add method has had multiple forms, right? Add methods can have a form where we are taking two integers, or another form add method can take where we are taking one integer and one float. It can take another form where we are taking both float. Another form it can take which can take both in double methods, right? We have already covered the overloading part. Now we are here to do the overriding, but polymorphism is a concept which implements in both overloading and overriding, right? And that's why we are covering overloading as well. We are recalling overloading and we will complete the overriding in this part. One thing can exhibit more than one form is called polymorphism, again same item. And one functionality with different action, again same thing. This thing we will see in runtime polymorphism, that would be the overriding that we are going to cover today. One person with different behaviors is again same, and the polymorphism Greek word which means poly means many and morphism means forms, right? That I mentioned earlier, many forms. Alright, so there are two types of polymorphism in Java that we have already discussed. Compile time polymorphism, which is known as overloading. It is also called static binding or early binding. And these names comes from because it happens during the compile time, and some anomaly found during the compile time, then there will be an error. Cool. Then the second item is runtime polymorphism or dynamic binding. So this is or late binding. This is also called method overriding. And in method overriding we need two classes minimally, right? So the compile time polymorphism overriding, and this is the example of compile time polymorphism. We are going to skip this because we have already covered this. This is a part that we have. Okay, this from byte it can go to the short becomes int becomes long and float, right? We have covered this in the last part also. This is type of casting, right? This is the flow. So we have already covered this. And okay, one thing that we have left is operator overloading, right? Like we do the method overloading, constructor overloading will happen in the same way, right? So one question arises, is operator overloading allowed in Java? If yes, how? If no, why? Anyone, any answer? Enter, you can leave it over here only. Alright. So is operator overloading allowed in Java? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the confirmation. Cool. No answers. Alright, no issues. The answer would be no. Okay. Or it can, we can directly say operator overload example. Overload we can use directly this example, right? So the first thing is operator overloading is not allowed. Okay, operator overloading is not allowed. The first thing is, now someone should have asked, what is operator overloading, right? What does it mean by operator overloading? It is not allowed is cool, but what is it? What are the operators? Method overloading we have covered the what is method, right? What is operator overloading? What is operator over here?
The symbols like plus, minus, divide.
Yes. So these are these are operators, right? So operator overloading is not allowed in Java, but there is one inbuilt overloaded operator, that would be plus. Cool. So this is the answer. If anyone asks, is operator overloading allowed in Java? No, but there is one inbuilt overloaded operator that would be plus. And how, right? How I will show you. Int a equals to 10, cool. Int b equals to 20. Again, this is an interview question as well, cool. If I print a plus b, all right, and do this a, okay, so let's just do a plus b. What will be the output of this program? 30, right? No point of guessing. So what happens, because it was an integer, so it worked as a addition, right? Plus happened, right? But if I'll say that, okay, a, right, let's mention d plus a plus a plus b. Now what will happen? What will be the output of this? Okay, let me ask you interview question. Let me just write interview question as well, right? Plus d, cool. And sys out d plus a plus b, and over here d, cool. And similarly just copy paste it and put it at the end. What will be the output? Everyone, we have less time today, so please hurry. If no one wants to answer, please, okay, I will just give you 10 seconds if anyone wants to answer.
Yeah, is it like the second one? It's D 10 20.
Okay, you are saying it would be d and 20.
10 20. 10
10
10.
20, okay. Then
10 20 D.
okay,
D 30
okay,
and 30 D.
okay. So we will run this and see all the answers that has been provided by Dikshita was right or not. The thing is, this thing, if we point it out, just okay, this not this thing. If line number 18 we point it out, otherwise it's almost correct. Everything is correct, right? The thing is, and now we will learn why this answer is not correct, right? It should have been 1 second third round would be wrong, right? 1 2 3, see 30d, right? And here the answer was 1020d, right? See what happens, the plus operator is overloaded. If both of the operands, the left hand side and right hand side, if both of the operands are numbers, right, then what will happen? It will add as a plus operator, right? Mathematical plus. So it will add because both left and right operand is integers, right? But over here, but if we find one operator to be in string and one operator anything, we don't care if any what is any other operand. If any one of the operand is a string, then we will do concatenation. Cool. What is concatenation? If string concatenation, see, okay, I am assuming that you are all aware of concatenation, right? We are not going to dive deep in every topic. So concatenation is single means we will add the strings, right? Just add the we will just combine the strings. So this d we are going to plus, because this one we found to be a string, right? So plus operator, one is d is string and one other operand is integer, right? So the answer would be, if we combine these two, what it be? It will be another string of 10 plus 20. Then this 10 plus 20 will be, now this 10 plus 20, now what will happen, how this will be executed? Now again, now this will be 10 d and 10. Now one operand will be d10 and other operand will be plus b, right? And b value is 20. So eventually it will become, it will again concatenate and d10 and 20 it will become, right? And so it's the answer. So now the answer that has been now the wrong answer, right? See Dikshita, because both operands are
Integer.
yes, so it will perform the addition, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it happens first 30 and then 30 was an integer and then d was a string, right? So it becomes 30d. Cool.
Yeah.
And then everything is again same, right? D, and then cause there is a bracket, see Bodmas rule will apply, the rule that we have learnt in the second and third standard, that will apply. So before performing the addition, every bracket will be computed, right? So that's why over here the bracket will be computed first. So the output of this will be d plus 30, because a plus b will happen earlier on. Same goes with here, a plus b will happen early on, so that's why one operand will be 30, another operand will be d. Over here one operand will be string, another operand will be combination of a plus b, that will be 30. So that's why d30 and 30d. Cool. So that's what with the operator overloading. We don't have any other overloaded operator in Java, nor we have the eligibility, because Java don't support overloaded methods. Cool. So it will be 30d. Nice. So you almost answered the correct answer. See, the thing is any one of you are trying to appear for an interview, at least try to answer one more thing, right? Because we are talking about basics. These are way too basics, and everyone is working, right? Everyone has a job right now, so at least we should know these things, right? It's not like you are just going to learn about, I mean, you have to go through again and again these topics, and you have to watch the video also again and again. And it would be better if instead of watching video you will just go to this thing, right? In the just get this GitHub repo and go through it, and the topic that you find it hard to understand, if you say okay why it has come, so you can just go and watch the video, right? All of this you can Google it also, no worries. But the thing is, few things one needs to know on their own as well. Okay, no worries. Let's start with the overriding. Cool. So see, overriding we cannot do with a single class. For the overriding we require at least two classes. All right. Okay, so runtime polymorphism, we are at the runtime polymorphism now. To achieve the method overloading, one class was sufficient, right? For overloading, because we can have different methods in a single class. But to achieve method overriding, we require two classes, right? Because we require parent and child classes. That's why for polymorphism, inheritance is required. And when we make that statement, that means for runtime polymorphism, we require the inheritance. Cool. So what does it say? The class from which we will get the variables and methods, that would be the parent class, and the class will get the methods and variables will be the child class, right? This thing we have already covered in the inheritance class, right? We'll move ahead now. So see what things we will need to follow. Okay, let me show you what is the overriding means first of all. So over here we will have a basics, and then also we will have interview as we always have. And it does not happen like in overloading there can be an operator overloading, but in overriding there is no concept like constructor overriding or operator overriding. Cool. So these two topics won't implement. Constructor overriding and operator overriding don't work with overriding. It's overloading concept only. Cool. So let's go ahead with the basics. So we always have a class A, right? And this class A will be our parent class, and I have a method void m1. Cool. So similarly, like the same example, we are going to do this. Cool. Visible? Right, everyone?
Yes, yes.
So now I'm going to take a class B, right? And the class B don't have any method, right? Right now I don't have any method. So in my runner class, if I'll create an object of class B, so I cannot call any method, right? I mean, these methods are the methods of object class, right? And why it is coming over here? Because object class is the parent class of all the Java objects, right? That's why I don't have to write actions object. But otherwise there is no method, right? I cannot call anyone or any method. So extends A. Right now this class has nothing, right? But because I have inherited, or I have made class A my parent, so I can inherit every method and every variable from it, right? So the m1 method is now in this class, so I can use it, right? b.m1 I can do it. b.m1 I can do it, right? So if I run this method, what will be the output?
AM1.
Yes, am1, right? Now see what will happen if I will write m1 method in class B as well. Now what will happen? There are two methods, right? Now one m1 method is in class B and one m1 method in class A, and both m1 method is in this class, right? B has now two m1 methods, one from A and one from B, right? So now if I run this, which method will be called? What will be the output of this? Let me show you class B. Class B is this. let me show you class A. Class A is this, right? Class A hyphen m1, class B hyphen m1. Both method signature are exactly same. Cool. So what will be the output now?
Maybe BM1.
Yes.
BM1.
See, again, this, I mean, this thing everyone should have known, because whatever we are going to learn after that, that would be the thing that I was expecting that I will teach. But at least till here, everyone should have known, right? What will happen. Cool. So no worries. I will let you know what will happen eventually, how it happens also. So we have an object of class B, right? We have an object of class B, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what will happen? It will go inside the class B first and check whether it has a method m1 or not. It will find a method, right? Then it will execute. If it does not find method over here, then it will go to the parent method. Then if it finds in the parent method, then it will execute. If it don't find in the parent method, what will happen? It will go to its parent method, right? So it will go to the object class. Object class obviously will not have any m1 method, right? No m1 method, so there will be an error. Cool. We will see each example right now. If I'll try to run this, there will be an error. Why error? Cannot find symbol. How does it try to find the m1 method? It goes inside B first, no m1. It went inside A, no m1. Then it tried to find m1 in object class, nothing found, right? So error. And one thing is, it is compile time error, not a runtime error, right? Our dot class file has not been generated. So if method does not exist, we will find it out in during the compile time only. Cool. So let's add the method m1 in the parent class, right? So now it has a parent in the m1 class, right? So now again, if I try to run this method, if I try to run this, now a hyphen m1 we get, right? How we how we access this method? B dot m1, right? So inside B class, no m1 method, right? So do I have properties from other class? Yes, from A. Go inside A. If do I have m1 method in my parent? Yes, right? So m1 executed, right? So if I just put it in B class now and just change it to B, now if I run it again, now the B hyphen m1 will execute, right? This is the most important concept of entire Java. This is why microservice architecture is so much easier to build in the OOPS or object oriented programming. And this thing, along with the dependency injection, when these two combination happens, it becomes unbreakable or unbeatable. So that's why Spring Boot is one of the top Java frameworks that is famous for the backend, right? There is no other framework in this industry in 2024 for the backend services more popular than the Spring Boot, right? The reason is, one is polymorphism, other one is dependency injection. Dependency injection we are not going to cover, it's a concept of the Spring Boot, but it starts with the overriding, right? If overriding does not exist, then dependency injection will not be that much powerful. All right. So this is clear, right? And how we are going to see, if you have something, right? If you have a money, you will use your money, right? If you don't have money, then you will go to your parent, right? If your parent don't have a money, you will go to your grandparent, right? If your great grandparent is alive, then you can ask money from them as well, right? So it's like you will use your resource first. At least you will try to use your resource first. Then if you are unable to use your resource, then you will try to access your parent's resource. If you are unable to access your parent resource, then your parent might ask. If your parent is unable to help you, then your parent will ask your grandparent, right? So that's how the flows goes. The closest method, if you have the method, then your method will be called. If you don't have that particular method, then the closest ancestral method will be called, right? If the nearest parent or the nearest ancestral method will be called. This is the flow of overriding. Cool? Understand? Anyone having any doubts, please speak up, because things going to get complicated from here.
Yeah, what if we want to specifically access the parent method?
What if
I mean, if A and B both have the same method names,
Yes.
and I inherit A without knowing that it also had the same method name, but or maybe no, just like what if I want to access the A class's M1 method instead of B, like
Okay.
explicitly.
Okay. Okay. Again, see, if you want to access your parent method, we are going to we okay. The first thing is from outside you cannot access, right? From this object you cannot access. From here it's impossible for you to access the parent class m1 method, right? I mean B's parent class m1 method, right? It is almost impossible. You cannot access. It is impossible, right? But you can within this class, right? What we can do, we can we can write super parent m1, parent m1, cool. And if I call m1, what will happen? What will happen now if I call this method?
Uh, A M1 would be printed.
Are you sure? I will
Yeah, but,
call I will call this
no, no,
m1
no.
method itself.
Okay, this is B M1 inside.
Okay, so see, the closest method will be called every time, right? If I remove
Yeah,
this
yeah,
thing, then it will call the parent method, right? AA.
yeah,
But if it's there, it will call its method, right? So
yeah.
after completing this topic, we are going to see our next topic would be super. All right. So super is a keyword that we will use to access the parent class properties if it exists inside our class as well, right? If I run this now, see a hyphen m1, right?
Yeah.
If I remove super, then I will be calling the same method, right? This m1 method. So it will be
Yes.
b and b. So the super keyword is the next topic that we are going to cover, but it's all right. I would like you to know
Okay.
that we are going to cover it, right? And this is how we are going to cover. Cool.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any question? Any doubt? Please speak now.
Yeah, Abhishek, when you have done that B is equal to new B,
Yes.
that constructor, it will also create the parent object. Huh?
Okay. Okay. See, this is another topic again, right? Nice thing. How constructor works, right? When we do the inheritance, how constructor works. That's a different thing that we are going to cover later on as well.
Okay, okay.
See, I will let you know one thing. Constructor chaining. Okay, this is a okay. This is a concept of constructor chaining, right? I okay. I think I have left it because constructor chaining requires knowledge of inheritance, right? Constructor chaining is there. Okay, okay. I have chained a single. Okay, cool. Okay, overloaded chaining I have created. All right. See, the thing is, it's not like you mentioned that okay, object of parent will also be created, right? That's not happened, but the constructor will be called. Over here, this has happened, right? Why do we use okay? Answer one thing, right? Why do we use constructor? Why do we use constructor?
To initialize the state, I mean, to state of the class.
Again, see, not correct statement, right? If you want to make a single liner statement, it's not correct. What is a state? To initialize the instance variables dynamically. This is the,
Dynamic.
this is the statement, right? I mean, this statement has everything, right? When you say that okay, I will initialize to initialize the variable, right? Now the interviewer can say okay, will you go for the static variable initialization also? Then you have to say no, right? Why to give the option, right? And now you have mentioned to
Okay.
initialize the state, then he will ask okay, what is the state? Because the state is, I mean, not an completely acceptable item, right? I mean, it's not bad, but the thing is, it's incomplete. I mean, the follow-up question is required to know that whether you are aware of this concept properly or not. So it's better just to mention it directly, right? Try to
Okay.
directly say. I mean, I'm not saying it's completely wrong, but if you give me answer this during an interview, I need to ask you what is a state, right? And from there, I will make things complicated. Because you will say state is something this and that, then I will try to ask okay, will state is acceptable, is it a oops terminology or not? Can state can be different? Okay, there is a object of car, what will be its state, right? Then I mean somewhere down the road it will be safe if you use a terminology that you will be able to defend, right? If someone asks okay, what is an instance variable, right? Now you are aware of everything to an instance variable, right? If you say some what is Why do we use constructor? To initialize the instance variable dynamically, right? So what someone can ask you from this statement, what is an instance variable, right? Now you have everything, right, of the instance variable, where we declare, how we declare, when the memory allocates, when the memory deletes, whether it provides the default memory or not provide default memory, if it provides which memory will be provided to which variables, right? Everything you know, right? If you have covered the lessons properly, so everything you know, you are bulletproof over there, right? So choose your words carefully, and then if someone wants to dive deep, so choose those words which will help you, right, during the interview processes. And while working is completely cool, I mean, anyway, in which you understand. All right. So okay, so we use variables to initialize the instance variable dynamically, right? Everyone agrees on this, right? All right. So what do you think? Is it mandatory to initialize the instance variable, or it's cool? If I have extended A, right? If there is a constructor in class A, okay, we can cover this thing also. The class would be of longer duration. Let's say there is a class A, right? And A constructor, and there is a class B, B constructor, right? B constructor. It's a default constructor, so it will be empty. It's also a default constructor, so it will be empty. Cool. So if I try to create an object of B, what do you think? What should happen? Now we know that, okay, constructors are created to initialize the instance variable dynamically, right? So in constructor, do you think that both constructors should be called, or you think only a single constructor should be called? What should be the complete flow? You already know the answer because we have already completed the basics. That's why if your basics are clear, then the further or the next question that can generate, you can answer based on the previous topics alone. Can I create an object without calling its constructor? Is it possible?
No, I think no.
There are ways, like to create an object, I can use class.forName as well. But constructor call happens if we do this or not. Again, it happens, right? No need to, I mean, it will not be covered in the class. I have just shown you that there are different methods, right? Right now there is hibernate and oops, so we don't have to create things. Earlier we used to use this class.forName to create a class. If you go inside this, we expect a class name, right? And then we return an object of the particular class. So this thing used to happen, but still the constructors are mandatory stuff, right? It is bind with the object creation, right? Even if we don't provide any constructor in a class, then the compiler provides a class, right? After the compiling of the class, we get a default constructor, right? So Java is providing a default constructor, then it must be mandatory, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, so it is, I mean, a language is providing you. If you are not providing anything, the language is providing it for you. So that means it must be mandatory, right? And with a new keyword, we cannot, even new keyword is also, I mean, after the completion of oops, we will come here, over here. What is this and how it goes, right? We will dissect this, what happens behind the scenes. So you will see every time with new only it's there, right? This is constructor. So over here we are calling constructor. So it's for sure that this constructor will be called, right? B's constructor will be called, right? It is sure, right? We are calling it over here. Nothing new. We have already covered this thing in the constructor part. So what will happen if I have inherited class A as well, right? So if I have inherited class A can also have some methods, right? Int age, right? And in constructor there might be a chance, right, that A's value I need to make initialize this age value. This might happen, right?
Yeah.
So, and is it good approach if I don't call the A of class A's constructor when I create an object of B? If I don't allow this, what will happen? If you normally create an object of A, then the age will be initialized to 20, right? Age will be initialized to 20, right? Without constructor, you cannot create an object, and if you call the constructor, age will be set to 20, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't call the ace constructor, what value you are going to get from B? 0. That will be the default, right? So if this thing will become 0, do you think it's a good approach? Hello?
Okay, okay. You mean to say that this object
Okay,
B constructor will invoke a default zero R constructor of class A?
come again.
You're saying that if zero arg constructor of that compiler will be automatically called for it to be
B's. Okay, can you repeat yourself?
no, whether B will call the zero arg constructor of class A. I mean that extends A.
Okay, this should happen or not? That's what we are discussing over here, right? So what do you think? It should happen or not happen?
It should not happen because we have given A is equal to 20. We wanted it to 20.
You're saying that it should not, the B's constructor should not call A's constructor, right? I mean, if I'm creating this object, then we should call only B's constructor, right? B's constructor only called, right? Constructor. This is what you are trying to tell, right? And no A constructor, right?
Saying no zero arg constructor of A, that is a default constructor that compiler will provide, no, of A, should not be called, I'm saying.
You are trying to tell that A's constructor should not be called, right? Or it should be called. What should be the output? Okay, can you tell me? I mean, what should be the output you are expecting from this? You have the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm unable to understand what you are mentioning. You, is anyone getting what Kishore is trying to explain? Because I don't know why I'm not able to get that.
He is saying class A's default constructor will be called only.
Okay, is it is it what you are trying to tell, Ashok? Okay, sorry, Kishore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay, okay. So you agree that this thing should be called, right? Then what should be the output of this program according to you? And why? I want to know everyone's logic. Then Ashok mentioned that okay, this constructor should be called. What is the? Oh, sorry, Kishore mentioned that this constructor should be called, right? So what are the other persons you, right? Except the Seema. It should be called or not?
I think no, because we're creating an object of V. So I think what we're inheriting should not matter.
Okay, cool. The thing is, Kishore is here, right? The thing is, if instead of class A, if this class is animal, right? If instead of A, okay, wait, I am not changing the name of this class, let it keep in this way. So let's take an package of animal. We will see it later on. I will delete the package. And in animal, if there is an animal, right? All the animals has teeth, right? 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 Every animal has teeth, right? Do you know any mammal that don't have a teeth? Bird. Most of the bird has beak, right? No teeth,
Yeah.
right? So has teeth will by default be false, right? Because it's a instance variable, right? So there is a dog, right? And dog will have a constructor, right? Inside this constructor, and dog will extend animal. Cool. So by default, dog has a teeth or don't have a teeth now. Oh, let me call has teeth, right? And sys out has teeth, and cause of inheritance it will be having the variable teeth, right? And now if I'll create a runner, create an object of dog, dog equals to new dog. Cool. Now if I'll try to call dog dot has teeth, what will be the output? Dog dot has teeth. Cool. Okay, this is the method I want to access. This has teeth. Cool. What will be the output? Dog has nothing to do with the teeth, right? So the animal class will be responsible for it, and it's default, right? So default value of it false, right? See, this is the very easy item, right, that we are doing right now. These things you must answer in a jiffy, right? In a within a second, because I already take a lot of time while writing. So I'm expecting that you answer this question in a very fast manner, because we have already completed this, right? This topic, that whether it's what will be its value will be false. Why? Because it's an instance variable. We have already covered it, right? Instance variable get the values. The teeth will have false. Then dog extends animal. Dog has nothing to do with the animal, right? So the default value will persist. We are trying to access the default value, right? And over here we are just creating a dog object, and the dog object will have nothing in the constructor, so no variable will be initialized, so nothing will happen, right? So if I try to call the dog has teeth, the dog has teeth will try to access the has teeth. Has teeth is the false value, because no one has updated the value and the default value is false. So if I try to run this thing, the output would be false, right? So try to answer in a faster manner, right? Because things going to get a lot more complex and deep. If you are able to process it in a faster manner, then it won't get completed, right? Then I need to I need to cut the syllabus into short, because otherwise it will going to take 4 to 5 months, right, to complete. I have to then reduce this multi-threading concept, right? I have to reduce the concept if you are not going to get it, right? Because I cannot cover all the basic items, and I need you to process things faster. Everyone, please try to cover these things, and if everyone wants, I can take a break of 3 to 5 days, but I want your answers, prompt answers. I'm audible? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise what will happen? See, otherwise it's like I will come every day, I will teach something, and if you're not able to answer, then then it will be equivalent to watching videos on YouTube, right? Does not make sense. You are paying here, you are taking the sessions, right? So it's better if you think that you had some work at the office, and you have to take 1 to 2 days to cover it along, right? So you can take it, but the thing is you must get it, right? Otherwise I am sitting over here, you are sitting over here, and you are not getting all those things, then things are not good. And it's completely fine if you take some extra time, right, to understand the things. You can learn at your own pace, but the thing is, the basics you need to, there are the topics that we have already covered that should have been catched up, right, till now. Because this thing, when I ask what will be the value of this thing we have, I think, covered 15 to 20 days earlier, right? The very first class was of this default and all those things, the second session. So it's already been 10 to 15 days, so everyone should have answered it promptly. That the value will be false. So that's the only thing, right? If you think that you require some time to cover up the previous item, we can take a break of 2-3 days, maximum of 5 days, right? Cannot no more than 5 days. But if you think, then you can have discussion. We can have discussion after every session. If you want some break, then we can take a break also, right? No issues with that as well. But the thing is, the main thing is everyone should understand the concept. Otherwise we are wasting our time. So that's it, nothing else. I'm also coming, right? The main thing should be everyone should get the concept, right? And you can ask any question you want, right? There is no bar to a question asking as well. All right. Given this thing, now the thing is, this will be false, right? Everyone agrees to this, right? This value will be false.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
So if I, for the dogs I say the has teeth equals to true, right? Cool. Understood till here? Now what will happen if I run the code again? The value will be true, because I have set it over here, right? Has teeth true. Anyone having any confusion over here? Why the value is true? I have run this code to create a dog object and called hashTeeth method. HashTeeth method just print the value of hashTeeth. HashTeeth variable is in the class animal and we haven't initialized it, so its value have to be false, right? Compiler will provide the value to false, but we have the dog object and we have set the value true, right? So the value has updated from false to true. So that's why when I run this, the value was true at that time, because the constructor we have used. Why do we use constructor? To initialize the instance variable. Was this the instance variable hashTeeth? Yes. From where we get it? We get it by the logic of inheritance from my parent. Cool. Understood? Everyone having any confusion regarding this code? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Alright, cool. So see, now the dog, we know the dog will have teeth, right? It's stabilized right now, right? So let's say there is a dog breed called Husky, right? Husky is the dog, right? We have covered in the last session that the statement that I just made. Husky is a dog, right? I'm not making an English statement. I mean, it's English statement as well, but it's technical statement as well. Husky is a dog, right? Because extend is equals to is a relation, right? So Husky is a dog, right? We have covered in the last session. If no one in the previous sessions, go again through the video, right? If you missed it. So cool, no worries. So if I try to print if if my Husky also has the same method as of dog, right? This has teeth, right? And if I try to print now, instead of dog, if I'll say that I want a Husky object, right? Husky object, husky equals to new Husky, right? And I say husky dot has teeth. Oh, my bad. Husky dot method has teeth, right? So now Husky has a teeth, right? This is a method. So what will be the value? From where has teeth value came? Has teeth value came from dog? No, it's not in the dog. Then animal? Yes, from animal it has came, right? So what should be the value of has teeth method of the Husky?
True.
Yes, it should be true, right? So when we say it's true, we are saying it's true because it seems true, right? Because in the dog we have mentioned that dog should have a teeth, right? So we think that okay, dog should have a teeth, so Husky should also have a teeth, right? But when we do the same thing with classes A and B, where it makes no meaning, right? Then we get confused. So now why you mentioned, right? Why you are able to answer over here that Husky should have a teeth and not over here? The reason is with Husky, an example of with a Husky and a dog, we tend to make an image in our brain that okay, dog has a teeth, so Husky should also have a teeth, right? So we make sure that object that has been working in the real life scenario should be working over here as well, right? So the same concept you have to think and apply when we don't take animals and we just take objects, right? Then someone is asking questions regarding A and B, you must think something, right? What could be a parent, what could be a child? That the dog could be a parent class and the child could be a Husky, and then it could be something else also, Labrador, Husky, Golden Retriever. So by that it will happen, right? So now if we'll see the dog class Husky, now it does not make sense, right? If the Husky has a teeth, gives the value false, right? But now Dikshita, you mentioned, right, the Husky should have teeth, it should be true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned that our constructor of the parent class should not be called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, now there is a difference, right? This is what we have to learn. So if I don't allow the parent class constructor to be called, or the parent class constructor to initialize the instance variable, then there will be an issue, right? There will be an inconsistency. So if I don't allow the parent class instance variable, see, the constructor is a primary object, right? It's one of the class elements that has to execute before creating of an object. We cannot skip the constructor call of an object. Cool. So it will execute and it will not make any sense if, because I can even hard code, right? It is used to dynamically initialize the value, but I can hard code it as well, right? I can hard code these values as well, right?
Yeah.
Like I have done over here. This is hard coded value, right?
Yes.
So I must call, if I don't allow this, the state of the object will become false, right? Because the values that I want to set will not be initialized, right? The instance variable that I want to initialize will not have the value that I want to, because over here I just mentioned that. Okay, so now if I have written in this way, I'm secure that anyone who will create a dog object will have its state set to true, right? So I have to be stress assured, right? So if someone tries to extend this class like I have with my husky, so it needs to call this dog as well. And now let me show you one thing. In constructor, if I don't have a constructor, default constructor is provided, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So in this, there is a husky, right? And we know that there is no husky constructor, right? Over here
Yeah.
there is no husky constructor, right?
Yeah.
So we know that the husky this is how it, I mean we know till here, right? This constructor will be created, right, by default,
Yeah.
right? And if I run this, then also husky has value true, right? Even if, cause the another example that can make the confusion is, I mean this thing that if I call this husky, and cause over here there is no call to the dog constructor, then dog constructor will not be executed, right? That's what a lot of people can think, right? But still we have seen that value is true, and the value is true will happen only if the dog constructor has been executed, right? So let's do one thing, remove this, right? And see what will happen if I run this again, and I have to reload this project. We'll go inside the husky. We'll go inside the husky. So the constructor, no, the oops topic, polymorphism, overriding animal husky, and over here, okay, the super keyword is not present over here, right? We are seeing only this. All right, cool. Okay, my decompiler is not okay, cool, no worries. See what usually happens over here, we are just seeing this husky, right? But this is not it also provides one more thing over here. If I provide or not provide anything over here in the constructor, if I'll say hello cool, hello cool, see, okay, let me tell you first thing how things happen. The super keyword will be used, right? If I need to call the same constructor of a class, I will use this, right? This we have covered in the last session. But if I want to call the parent class constructor, I have to call the super in this, right? So super in this, and over here dog constructor called cool. So this super keyword is the keyword that we use to call the parent class constructor, right? So now if I run the, okay, I need to mention, and then again this was a concept of this super keyword we were supposed to learn in the next part, but cool, no worries. So husky constructor, husky, we will cover this in the later session as well, husky constructor, right? So if I run this code now, see, dog constructor called, husky constructor called, and has the true, right? So this super keyword is responsible to call this, right? But if I don't add the super keyword, then too it will work in the same way. The dog constructor is called, right? And even if I remove this constructor as well, then too the dog constructor has been called. So if you extend a class, so what will happen? The Java will provide, if you don't create a constructor, then Java will provide you a default constructor, right? And if you are extending a class and that extended class has a default constructor, then your Java will do call your parent constructor as well. So instead of normal constructor will the super keyword will be called, right? And again, calling to a constructor should be the very first statement in the constructor, right? We have seen this with this. So same thing goes with the super statement as well. If I try to run this, call to super must be the first statement to the constructor body, right? This was the error that we were getting in the last part when we tried to call this keyword to call a constructor, right, within the same class. In the interview part you can find it if you're not able to recall right now. So why you get, right, why it's mandatory? Even if you don't provide it, Java will call the parent class constructor, because it is important, because you can create, and even not just this, even your a static block and instance block, right? You are in with the object relation, only instance block is there, right? Your instance block will also get executed every time you call the parent class, because your constructor and your instance block is responsible to initialize the variables, right? And you want it to get initialized, right? You have written it over there just to make sure that whenever someone creates an object, then those value will be initialized, right? And your dog is also, your child is also your parent, right? Dog is also an animal. Dog is an animal. So, and if you want to create an animal, you want to update few things with it, right? You want to make sure that its behaviors, you want to set its behaviors and its properties, right? So its properties is its variables, so you want to initialize it, and that's why the parent class constructor will be called, right? Anyone having any doubts now regarding this?
What if animal also had a constructor, saying that animal constructor called, then would that
Okay,
be
what
a,
do you think should happen?
I don't know, I mean,
See, what should happen with the two class, right? We'll go with the third class as well. The concept will remain same, nothing will change. We are
oh,
adding a change itself, right? If
yeah, yeah,
this is a parent class and this is a child class, right? So we
hmm,
know that the dog class constructor need to be called, right?
yeah,
So now forget I mean over here, can you see anyone the child class? You are not able to see any child classes, right? Because the dog can has many child classes, right?
yeah,
To
yeah,
create a dog class, for dog there is only one parent, right?
yeah,
So for creating a dog object, we need to create an animal object, right? So animal object needs to be created, right? The constructor needs to be called
yes,
animal constructor. Isolate the thing. I mean, when you do the coding questions as well, try to isolate the value. If you get in the coding, if you get a constructor array of these 5 values, then if you try, I mean, 5 values is small, right? And let's say that if you have some, if you have an example of this much values, right? You don't try to solve the question with this much values, right? You will take a subset only. You will try to think, okay, let me take just 3 values, let me take a single value. If the question is to rotate this thing, I will try to rotate a single value. If I try to rotate a single value, then the value will be 1 only, right? So that's how we write the question. If the size is 1, then I will return it. If I have a string dot length equal 1, then I will return 1 only, right? I will return the str only, right? String only, str. Cool. This should be the case, right? If I have only one string, how will I reverse? If I reverse it also, then the 1 will be there, right? I'm
yeah,
just taking an example. So if there is a 2, 1 and 2, now you can see, okay, I need to reverse, then you increase it, right? With one case what can happen, with two case what can happen, with three case what can happen, right? That's how we goes. We don't go directly to check this much string, right? If we try to do it, it's going to take a lot of time, we are not able to get it. And also it's way too large string, right? It will take a lot of time to juggle. So always take, I mean, not with this thing, with everything in the life as well, try to break the larger statements or the larger problems into the smaller ones, then go with it, right? So like you mentioned the husky, let's just take, okay, husky is a class and dog needs to be created. When we are at the dog is a class, animal needs to be, forget about the previous thing, right? Then the dog is a single class. If I try to call dog equals to new dog, what will happen? Should animal be called, right? Yes, if dog
yes,
I call, animal be called. Okay, then go to the husky. So now we have established that if I'm creating a dog, animal constructor needs to be called, right?
yeah,
Then go to the husky. Okay, if I want to call the husky, dog needs to be called, right? If dog needs to be called, then the animal needs to be called, right? So
yeah.
that's how we make the change. All right. So this is also
Yeah,
clear.
Abhishek,
Yeah, go ahead.
Abhishek, one doubt.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so now, I mean, this hash teeth variable, like for every object it is being created. Like for the animal, there is one copy of hash teeth, and for dog, it is hash teeth. This will be like that because you are calling that constructor, or is it only one copy which is in the parent, and all or that copy all are using down the class?
Yes. See, in the inheritance class, we have already covered this, that we don't inherit only methods, we inherit variables as well, right? So there will be only one animal, right? Boolean, one boolean, right? Boolean is of 1 byte, right? So only 1 byte will be consumed. Cool. And this 1 byte will be shared with everyone.
Okay.
It is exactly same. I mean, this thing is equivalent to if you just copy paste things over here, right? This thing is exactly same. You can copy paste over here. Any other questions? Ask as many questions as you can, because this is the most important topic, right? And if you don't answer properly of this topic, overriding, then there is high probability you will not going to get hired, because these are oops. Till now whatever we have completed, if you are unable to answer, then you are not hireable, because this is the very few topics, right? This is the class constructor. If you don't know what you are going to write inside a class, why should I hire you, right? And again, if oops is a topic, oops is a concept, not even of the Java. If you are unable to answer the questions from the oops, then these questions are rejection round questions. Whatever we are going to learn in the first half of the sessions, first half of the course will be rejection round questions. The next half, if you don't know many things about the exception handling, inheritance, not inheritance, exception handling, and multi-threading and collections or streams, completely all right, because you know the basics. It's going to take hardly half an hour to 1 hour for you to understand those topics, right? But if you know those topics and don't know this, then it's a very big red signal, red flag. Because the thing is, I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know whether you will be able to unlearn some of the stuff and then apply the topics. Over here we know, right? Your basics are fine. If I'll give you one liner or two liner, you will be able to understand as well, right? So your senior also can help you out within 15 minutes or half an hour. It can also give you, and then you will be able to work with it, right? Or at least know the concepts. So that's how the hiring person thinks. So whatever we are doing till now, it's the very basics. So everything needs to be known. So you can end the runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism. These are very important topics, right? And even you can skip everything. You cannot skip everything, but the most important topic of the entire Java or the entire oops is runtime polymorphism, what we are doing right now. The abstraction is a single liner, right? Most of the people don't know how to answer this question. Completely all right, because everyone is using methods, right? No need. Encapsulation, everyone can use the method, right? If you don't know the theoretical thing, then completely all right. But polymorphism is way too important. Okay, so we have covered a little bit of super keyword as well. We will cover it in the later sessions as well, no worries. So again, back to the basics. Overloading, animal part I'm deleting right now. We are again with the A and B, cool. And also you need to you need to also make sure that you understand with the example, with an arbitrary examples, right? No one will going to give you proper flow like the example that of a dog, of a cat, right? Because it will become way too easy. It's good to explain, but it's not good to ask questions in interview. If I design in such a way, people can relate it with the real life examples. So that's why you will always see this A, B, or random class names, right? To confuse the people. Okay, let's move ahead. And we are good with this thing, right? How the overloading works. What's the flow? Can someone explain to me what's the flow of this? What will be the output of b1 method? This, okay, constructor, we can ignore the constructors for now. Okay, we can ignore the constructors for now. We are working with the method overriding right now. Okay, so what will be the value? Okay, this thing we can ignore for now. Okay, what will be the output if I run the program? B with methods having m1 method, A also having m1 method, and I'm trying to call m1 method from B's object. So what will be the output?
BM.
Yes, and what's the flow?
It checks its own class first and then checks the parent class.
Okay, so it will find the m1 method in the its own class, so it will use its own, it will try to use or consume its own behavior or its own resource, right? If not found, then it will go to the immediate parent, right? Immediate ancestor, then A, and then that parent will go to the next parent, right? And the closest ancestor, right? There might be a chance that A also have, and I can extend A to Z also, right? Z also, and in Z class, okay, Z class instead of Z, in Z class I can also add the m1 method, right? Public void m1, right? Instead of doing this thing, let me just copy paste it, so you can be also sure that I have just copy pasted entire same thing, right? So what will be the output now? So the B class extends A, B is also having m1 method, and A class also having m1 method, and that class also having m1 method, right? So if I try to run b equals to new b, then which method will be called?
BM1.
bm1, right? Because b itself has the method, right? But if I remove this method, now what will happen?
AM.
Yes. Why you are not sounding confident, right? We know the flow. Be confident. If I remove from b a, what will happen now?
ZM.
Yes. Be confident. See, you know the flow, right? Now let him change anything. Let them change the name of the classes. Let them change everything, right? You know the flow, how it's going to go. So that's it. So be confident, because Java has set Java, not even Java. Everything in the world has a set of rules, right? You need to follow it. You will throw apple from a building, it will going to go down, right? If in Mars, then some if different stuff, but if it's in Earth, then it will go down only, right? Everything has a hard fixed rules, so that will happen with the coding stuff also. If Java goes to the parent class and not Java, with every language you will find the same thing. Again, this what we are learning over here is a concept of oops, not particular to the Java, right? All right. So this was the easiest thing that one needs to know. Now it was basic, right? Let's go to the parent, right? Most important interview question. Most important interview question, right? If you appear for the 10 interview questions and the interviewer declares that okay, Java is a thing that we are going to ask, then out of 10, 9 times you are going to get this question, right? Again telling you, most important question of the entire Java. And if you don't know this, not hireable. Cool. So the topic would be parent class. Okay, not class, it will be okay. Let's cover the topic, then we're going to cover the okay okay okay. Let's take it as a interview part as well only. Parent reference child object. Cool. And let's take another chaining. Closest ancestor, the thing that we have done till now. Closest ancestor call. Cool. Okay, it's not a Java file. Let me write it, create a package again. Closest ancestor method call. Cool. Now it's a method. Okay, cool, great. So over here I will create a class A. Cool. A class, right? Nothing new. Let me close all of the tabs. Where I'm. Okay, let's close everything. Cool. Let's go over here, right? A class, right? Nothing new. Every time we have already covered, written this many times, right? M1 method. From the day second and third, we have been writing this M1 method, right? Nothing new, right? So let's create B class now, right? We have been creating B class again from the start, very start, right? So extends A, right? Nothing new, right? Nothing new. Cool. Now public void m1. Okay, answers out b hyphen m1. We have been doing this till now, right? Nothing new. So now, but in the runner is the thing that we will change. So b, so what will be the output if I call a equals to new a and then call a dot m1? Cool. What will be the output if you call b equals to new b and b dot m1? And what will be the output if I try to, okay, now if I do this, right, if I'll try to call okay, ba equals to new a and ba dot m1, and the final thing is ab equals to new b and b dot m1. All right, cool. Go ahead. What will be the output over here?
AM1.
Nice. AM1. Cool. What will be the output? below?
BM1.
Yes, great. What will be the output below it over here?
AM
Come again.
AM1.
Okay, cool. Then here.
Um, I think there might be an error because A is not extending B. Only B is extending A.
Okay. Everyone except Seema. Anyone wants to put their insights? See, we are diving so much into the topics. If you cover everything that I've been telling you, you don't need to read Java again, right? Because we are covering a lot of topics again and again and into deeper level as well. So it's like if you cover those things, every topic that I've been teaching, so you don't have to go ahead and need to learn other stuffs as well, right? You are completely sorted for 3 to 4 years, right? Then the optimization, if you become the tech lead and all, then optimization thing, then it's completely different item, and then that too you will be able to understand way too easier if you know all the concepts. Okay, given said that, everyone agrees with this one, right? These two are way too easy, right? Right answer, Dikshita, right? AM1 and BM1, right? Now, coming to this thing, right? What I have done B equals to new A, right? This is child class object, right? Child class. This is child class, right? So the reference variable is of child class, right? Am I right? This is
Yeah.
the reference variable, and the object is of parent class, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are saying that it will provide me the answer A hyphen M1, right?
Yeah.
And this will provide me an error, right? Okay. See, not a lot of people. I mean, with me, you have a free hand, right? You can ask why also. So it should. I mean, should it be allowed? This thing should be allowed. You mentioned that this thing should not be allowed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what? Why you should not allow this? I will give you the answer. But any insights why we should not allow this thing? Parent class reference variable, child class object. Why we should not allow this?
Because I mean, we haven't told A that uh, B is its child class. I guess. I
Okay.
mean, we haven't mentioned it anywhere, so it wouldn't know
Okay. So
something.
the parent don't know how many child it has, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. You are using your brain, right? Answer is wrong though, but you are trying to get somewhere, right? But it's great. See, the topic name is parent class reference variable can hold child class object, right? So this holds true. So why it's holds true, we are going to dive deep into that, right? So the logic you have provided is the parent class thing, right? The parent don't know how many child it has, right?
Yeah.
In Java, the inheritance, not in Java. In the computer science, the inheritance is broken. In real life, how the inheritance works, your parent decides right, that you are our child, right?
Yeah.
Our parents told us, right, we are their child, right? It's not like someday we just walking in the road and say, okay, now from now today you are my parent, right? That does not happen, right? But in
Yeah.
Java, exactly this thing happens, right? Now suddenly A was there already, right, for a while. Now suddenly C came into existence, and it says, okay, if my parent is from now onwards A, right? A does not even know about it, right? That is it exists or not, right? In real life example, this does not happen, right?
Yeah.
So inheritance in computer science, especially in Java, in the backend programming language, is broken. Cool. So you are thinking in a correct way. I mean, you are trying to think. It is a great deal. But the thing is, instead of thinking about that, the parent does not know about the child, right? In reality, opposite happens, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes child does not know who their parent is, not the other way around. So
Yeah.
what we can do, instead of thinking about whether the parent know about the child or not, we need to know if we have the reference variable of A, right? So can it hold the child objects? Why it cannot hold the child object? See, one thing that, okay, let me tell you one concept. Again, we haven't covered it. So the concept is whatever the reference variable I have with me, okay? So I have a reference variable of B. Cool. Think about the methods and variables, right? Because other elements are just to initialize the variables, right? Constructors and blocks. So over here, if I have a reference variable of b, cool. So I can call the methods of b only. You get my point? I'm not telling that the method of b will be called, right? It depends on the overriding. I'm telling that visibility. I mean, if I call b dot, then there might be a chance in a class. A class can have one method, right? M1.
Yeah.
And b class can have 10 methods, right?
Yeah.
One from m2 to m5. Let's suppose, okay, even let's make it simple. Let's suppose that a has m1 method. Let me write it down as well, m1, cool. And the b has public void m2 method as well, right? Cool. Okay, my bad, b dot m2, right? So if and even remove this one also, right? Make it easier. A has m1 and b has m2, and b is extending it, so b has both methods, right? So if I take the reference variable of b and if I try to call ba dot m2, then m2 method will be visible. Cool, will be visible. This is the thing, the methods and the properties that will be visible for you to call will be of the reference variable and not of the objects. This is one criteria. Got it?
Yeah.
Or having some doubts?
Unknown. Yeah.
Okay, now try to apply this over here. See, okay, let's try to apply it over here, right? So bb equals to new a, right? bba equals to new a, right? So what does it mean? It means that I'm trying to hold an object of a, right? Object of a I'm calling, right? No constructor of b will be called. Are you trying to get my point?
Yeah.
So if I'll call a,
Huh.
then no, you are calling a constructor, right? We are calling a constructor over here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no call to the constructor will be made of class b, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to hold the object of b, a with the b, right? So cool. I was getting in the class b, I was getting method a from a class, right? Right?
Yeah.
So cool. If I'm trying to access method m1 over here, then it's completely cool because I'm getting a m1 method from a, right? So I can call the m1 method directly, right? I can access it, cool.
Yeah.
But with the m2 method, can I call the m2 method? Because in a object there is no m2 method, right?
Yeah. It's not there.
And also, when we are talking about method, if I take a variable that int age and let it be in here like this, and I have to use this variable age, right? If I don't create an object of b, this variable will not be having any memory, right?
Yeah. It will not be created. Yeah.
So how can I call the method m2 b dot m2? Because I haven't created the memory, right? I haven't asked for the memory of class b, right? And
Yeah.
the class b memory and the b dot m2 requires this variable to be allocated a memory, right? But I haven't created it. In inheritance, if the reverse happened, if I call the object of b, created object of b, then because I have extends keyword, right, over here, so I will ask for the memory if a also have a variable, right? Let's say 10. So I will ask the values memory for object class a as well, right? But not the vice versa, because this class does not know, right, how many child it has. And it cannot ask as well, because it can have 10 classes, right? A dog can have husky, labrador, 10 breed it can have, right? So we can never use the child class very methods, because we are not initializing any constructor or instance block of the child class, right? So do you think it should be allowed?
No.
Okay, so let's comment it out. And right now if I try to run this, there will be error, right? Incompatible types,
Yeah.
cannot convert it to b. So one thing to know in Java, child class reference variable, okay, this was child class, right? Cannot hold parent class object. right? You get the reason, right? Why child class reference variable cannot hold the parent class object.
Yeah.
The reason is we are not initializing the child class. We are not calling the constructor of the child class. So we are not asking for the variable, right? We are not calling the constructor. We are not creating the object of it. So the memory will not be provided, right? And if
Yeah.
the memory is not going to provide it, then the constructor, instance blocks, static blocks, they are just to initialize the variable, right? So if I don't have the value, what will I call by calling the constructor or anything, any class element which responsibility is to initialize the constructor, right? That's why child class reference variable cannot hold the parent class object. Cool. Now come to this. What will happen with this thing? Is this thing should allowed or not? Now we have parent class reference variable and the child class object.
Yeah, now it should be allowed
Why?
because we're creating a object of the B class.
Okay. So what will happen?
So if B has M1, it will be shown as BM.
Okay. So if I'll call the child class object, so what will happen? I will go inside B, right? So all the variables that is in the B, all the instance blocks, all the constructor of the B will be called, right? And same goes with the parent class constructor as well. We have seen, right, with the super keyword, we have covered touch that thing as well. So so if I call the child class constructor, so constructor calling will happen till the end of my parent, right? Because a has object, right? Object class. Object class. Now if we'll see over here, we don't have anything other than methods in the object class, right? There is no variables that can be found, right? Only variables. Only, sorry, my bad. Only methods, right?
Yeah.
So over here, if it has some variables, then it will also, I mean, we have to provide the values to object class as well. So we don't have anything like that in the object class. So the thing is, we will initialize, we will call the constructor, right? And if we are calling the constructor, so what does it mean? It means the constructor is called to initialize the instance variable. And if I am trying to initialize the instance variable, that means the memory will be provided, right? Otherwise, why would I call the instance variables, right? Oh, sorry. Why would I call the constructors, right?
Yeah.
So that's how thing goes. So cool. So the one thing is sure that the memory will be provided, right? Cool. Let me remove this. So coming back to our questions again, and the runner. Cool. So this is not allowed, right? So now we know it is allowed, right? The compiler will not provide any issue. Okay, ab.ml. Now tell me one thing. Will a be, because b object is there, right? B object is there. So and b also having m2 method, right? Can I call this m2 method? Only few minutes earlier I have mentioned that whatever object we have for the reference variable, we can only call or we can only access the methods and variables of that particular class only, or of the reference variable only. So if I try to call a.m2, then it will throw me an error, right? Cannot find method m2, right? Because it will be treated like a like a equals to new a, right? This a equals to new a. So if I call a.m2, there should be an error or not error? There should be an error, right?
Yeah.
Because in a single flow, if we are checking, there is no method of a, right?
Yeah.
So in Java, if I know that okay, during the compile time, think like a compiler, and later on we'll think like a JVM, right? Now think like a compiler. If you have a compiler, if you come into the class A, right? If you say okay, I'm compiling a.m1, you are trying to call a.m1, right? So I will go inside the A, right? And check whether m1 method exists, right? m1 method exists, right? It's fine, it's completely fine. Return type is there, this their name has been provided, this curly braces ends properly, cool. Now it will think okay, a.m2, let's go inside the A class, try to find m2, no m2, throw an error, right? This thing happened, no m2, method m2, location not found, right? Cannot find the symbol, method m2, right? So if this thing is agreed upon over here, so why you have to think over here, right? Why you are even looking at the thing on the left hand side, right? Object. Compiler cannot go again and again inside each and everything, right? It will make the compiler compile time way too high, isn't it? Because later on it can be C, right? It can be C, and then key and C can have M3 method in it, right? C can have M3 method in it. So I have to go inside this method. I have to check over here as well during compile time over here as well, right? So I have multiple burden. I have to check in the reference variable also, in the child also. Both places I have to check. It will increase the burden of the compile time, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you see what happened here, that I am going inside this A class, right, to check the method m1 exists, right? Exists, right? Exists, fine. So it will happen the same way, right? In in this A class, I will again go inside the A class and try to find method m2. It's not there, right? So it will throw an error. Okay, I have removed this. So if this will throw an error, it makes sense to you, then this should also make sense, right? It just we get confused, right? Because we don't think how things is happening, right? In C class does not exist. Because we don't care or mention care to think that how it's working, this line how it's working. That's why we get confused over here, right? So it's working how it's working during the compile time. It will check. See now the definition time. In the parent class reference or variable in child class object, during the compile time it will check whether all the methods exist on the reference variable or not, right? This will be the first thing of the question. This is one interview question in itself. Cool, this one. And now the thing, what will be the output of this m1? M1 is in parent class only, not in the B class. What will be the output?
AM1 again.
AM1, right? If I try to run this, AM1, the third one is the answer, right? Let's suppose I write the method over here as well. In B class also, I have written the same method. Override it, right? Now what will be the output? Will it change or remain same?
It will be the same.
Answer is wrong. It will change. See, now the thing is, you have an object, right? Again, come over here. BB equals to new B, right? What will be the output of this thing? BB equals to new B, right?
Yeah,
So,
BM1.
so BM1 will be the answer, right? Because how
Yeah.
the flow goes, right? We have an object. I
Hmm.
will be calling this thing. If I'm calling with a dot, that means I'm working on an object, right?
Yeah.
That's why from the very second lecture methods, we can access object instance variable by using the dot operator, and dot operator can be used with object itself, right? I mean method name. But otherwise, reference variable with dot operator. Otherwise, if it was a static, I can directly call b dot m1, right? If it
Yeah.
was a static variable, then b dot m1, and static variable is not associated with an object, associated with a class, right? So that's why each and every class is important, whatever we have done. That's why basic is important. All right, so b dot m1, that means it's an object that I'm working on, right? From
Yeah.
this line I can infer. So I was working on an object is of B class. So that's why now we know the closest ancestral method will be called. M1 is present in the class itself, yes. So B dot M1 will be printed over here, right?
Yeah.
If this thing we already know, then over here what will change? B object I have with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it will go inside, okay, it will go inside the B first and try to find whether M1 method exists. Yeah, it exists. So it will call the M1 method of B.
Yeah.
So what we have done over here, right? This is whatever we have done, what we have completed over here is a combination of above two examples, isn't it?
Yeah.
During the compile time, whatever you have taken the reference variable, it will work like this. And during the runtime for overloading, it will work like this. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we need to, I mean, anyone having any confusion, see, this is the most important question, right? Most basic, but most important. Nothing we have to take care, right? We just need to aware of two things. Whatever reference variable we are taking, we will be able to access only methods or variables of that particular reference variable object only, right? We can take example from this only, right? If I am using A, I cannot access A method, right? Because over here I am not concerned which object over here, right? I will be taking care of reference variable itself, right? Why I am compiling, I will go inside the reference variable class only itself. A M1 method does not exist. I don't care. if some child class exists over here, right? So that goes for the compile time. During the compile time, the reference variable methods and variables will be checked what we are trying to access. So those method only we can access which exists in the parent class, reference variable, and reference variable over here is the parent class reference variable, right? And during the compile runtime, if I call a method, it will try to work as a overridden method, right? Because the object is of B class. Object is of B class. So right now I don't care what the reference variable is. I'm working on the object, right? So if I'm working on an object, I will try to find the closest ancestor. If the property is mine, then I will directly call the function, right? If this is the thing, then I can directly call it, right? If this is not the thing, I mean if the B class does not have a method m1, then what will happen? It will call to its parent class, right? Then the parent class will having a1 method. I have changed the code, right? I don't, now the B class don't have the m1 method. So what will be the output now? B class now don't have an m1 method.
AM1 because it is extending A.
Yes, so now over here instead of b.m1, and okay, so b.m1, a.m1 will be here, right? What will be the output here in the case of parent class reference variable holding child class object?
AM1 again.
Okay, again it will be same, right?
Hmm.
See, during the compile time it will work with like this example, because it will check the reference variable and the methods and variable that exist in the reference variable class, right? During the runtime, it will check the objects method chain, right? Whether the property or the method or the behavior is of the current object or its closest ancestor, right? So that's happened with this, and due to this and this only, Java is solely very powerful. Not Java, the OOPS. The dominance of OOPS comes because we can do this, right? Right now there might be a chance that you are thinking, okay, we have to juggle a lot of things in your brain, but when we are completed with inheritance and abstraction and inheritance concept, then you will know that how powerful it is. And in almost every design pattern this thing is called, right? If you don't know this thing, right, if you are unable to answer this, there is no sense to ask you question of command design pattern or strategy design pattern, because in those patterns you need to use this, right? If you don't know this, then I cannot ask you the questions of those things, right? Even if you able to answer, then I will know that your knowledge is not complete, right? You have just rote learn those concepts, or you just rote learn that a particular example. Because if you're not able to answer this, using this only I will be able to implement most of the design pattern, at least the behavioral design pattern. So that's why these things are way too important. Understand? Now Kishore, you must be able to understand this thing, right? Because
Yeah, now
if you are unable to answer this, then no sense to know about the design patterns, because we are going to use this static design pattern. What will happen if it's a Facebook login, right? So your website will be having a login page only, like login strategy. Your website will have only a login strategy, right? And your strategy will keep on changing, right? Your login strategy will keep on changing, right? If it's Facebook login strategy, then it will be Facebook login strategy, right? Whatever you will choose, right? And I will keep on changing, right? It can be X login strategy, right? We can change it. So login strategy. So if someone, and that's why we directly ask this question as well, directly ask the strategy design questions, so it can be insta, right? So now I know that, okay, I don't care how many method the child has, right? I have no concern. The Facebook can send 50 variables. Facebook strategy can have 50 other methods. I don't give a damn about it, because I know I can only access those methods and variables that exist in the login strategy. So regardless of this thing, regardless of the child, I don't care, because only those methods can be accessible which exist in the method, right? Which exists in the reference variable, and the reference variable is of login strategy. So if the Facebook login strategy has 10 or 15 more fields, then I don't care about it, because Facebook can have this status can be complicated and all those things, right? Complicated, single, married, and 10 different status can be happening, situationship, all those status a Facebook can have. But a matrimony site only wants divorced, separated, never married, or married, right? Okay, they don't allow married, so only three will be allowed, right? So it don't want to map your, so your Facebook login strategy class has the responsibility to convert the Facebook status into the status that your company allows, right? So that's the thing you have to write in the login Facebook strategy. Okay, so we are not going to dive deep into that. It might become complicated. But I've just shown you how we use this thing, right? This A and B will become a lot of stuff, right? And you will see in your entire life that this thing parent class reference variable holding child class object, everywhere you are going to see this thing. There will be not a single day or single code or single microservice where this concept is not being used. So that's why it's most important. And if you are not able to answer, you are not hireable, even as a fresher, at least in the product based firms. Cool. So I just hope you understand the gravity of this